Nick from the MIT days.
Well, thank you very much. Happy birthday, Nicholas. And I hope that when I'm finished, I'm still allowed to come to your house tomorrow. I actually was thinking about telling sort of old stories from grad school days. I think I happen to be in the room here, probably the person who's known Nicholas the longest. Anybody here? Nicholas and I met at a barbecue for new grad students at MIT in early September of '71, and we found out that we were both sort of kind of looking forward to working with Ed Merrill, although he hadn't been assigned to us as a supervisor yet. And then we shared desk spaces in kind of the same courses. It's a pre-qualifier time. I could sort of tell you stories about Nicholas was probably fairly unique at MIT. He's probably the only grad student at MIT, in all of MIT, who wore a suit every day. Actually, it was a blue suit, a very interesting color of blue. I don't think you can get that blue anymore. And the white turtleneck was how I remember more often than not. It was the 70s, just in those days. And Nicholas was always a collector, and one of the things I remember was he collected dictionaries. And I think that kind of hit the limit for me when he kind of collected the Serbo-Croatian dictionary. He's probably the only person in this room, maybe the only person in Austin with such a dictionary. And he probably still has it hidden somewhere. And he also had this thing about ties then, but it was a very funny thing about ties. He would actually go up to you if you wore a tie. We didn't wear them often, but we all had one. And you turn it over and look at the number of stripes in the back of the tie. Nicholas had this impression that the more stripes, it was a better tie. But, I mean, so I've known Nicholas as long as anybody here, and one of the things, actually, I was a little surprised to learn very recently was that Nicholas trained to be a baritone. And I hadn't realized this, and we shared some emails about this. And so I was very impressed with this, and as a result, I decided to write an opera in Nicholas's honor. And what I have to just do before I sort of start this and read this out, and it may take a little bit more than 3 minutes when I'm allowed, to provide one disclaimer, and so that everybody in this opera is fictional, and any resemblance to anybody real or imagined is purely coincidental. So Act 1 takes place in the apartment. As penniless graduate students, Nico gazes out of the window while Bob is playing ping pong. In order to keep warm, they burn the manuscript of Nico's latest paper. And I actually should point out, I'm warning this to Nico, who's probably the only one who kind of knows where this is heading. But I did change the end. Michael arrives with food, wine, and money, and he explains the sources of his riches, a job of an eccentric Canadian university. The others hardly listen to his tale as they fall ravenously upon the food. Michael interrupts them by whisking the food away and declaring that they will all celebrate his good fortune by going to Cabot's for ice cream instead. Cabot still exists. It has a very interesting webpage, and I want you to notice, if you can read it, it's probably a little fuzzy, the item at the bottom, which was the Newtonite Sundae, heaps and heaps of vanilla, strawberry, chocolate coffee, 2 quarts. And there is a day when we actually did participate in something that I think is probably twice the size of this. I think probably when we finished, when Nicholas defended. But they did have some other larger ice creams, and the one at the bottom has 60 pints of ice cream. We didn't do that one, but we came close. While they drink, Ken, the department chair, arrives to collect the rent. They flatter him and ply him with wine. In his drunkenness, he recites his amorous adventures. but when he also declares he is married, they thrust him from the room without the rent payment in comic moral indignation. The rent money is divided for their carousing cabins. The other students go out, but Nico remains alone for a moment in order to finish a newspaper article, checking the soccer scores, promising to join his friends soon. There's a knock at the door, and Lisa, a model who lives in a flat below, enters. Her electricity has gone out, and she asks if she can borrow a candle. She thanks him for the candle, but returns a few seconds later, saying she has lost her key. Nico, eager to spend time with Lisa, finds the key and pockets it, feigning innocence. In 2 areas, Nico's Che Galita Manina, what a cold little hand, and Lisa's Si mi chiamano Lisa, yes they call me Lisa, they tell each other about their different backgrounds. Impatiently, the waiting friends call Nico. Nico and Lisa leave for Cabot's, and as they leave, they sing of their newfound love, O suave fanicula, O gentle maiden. Act 2 takes place at Cabot's. A great crowd is gathered with street sellers announcing their wares. Chorus, Aranci da Terry, Calvi Maroni, oranges, dates, hot chestnuts. The friends appear, flushed with gaiety. Nico buys Lisa a hat from a vendor. People gossip with friends and bargain with the vendors. The children of the streets clamor to see the wares of the toy seller. The friends enter Cabot's. I'm going to now skip the B plot, which is somewhat irrelevant to this particular story. It's involved making fun of an aging government minister, and you can put in whichever name you wish to use for such aging government minister. I'm a foreigner in this audience, and I'm probably not allowed to comment. Act 3 moves to West Lafayette, Indiana. Students pass through the barriers and enter the university. Amongst them is Lisa. She tries to find Bob, who lives in a little tavern nearby where he paints signs for the innkeeper. She tells him of her hard life with Nico, who has abandoned her that night. Oh, buon Roberto, aiuto. Oh, good Roberto, help me. Bob tells her that Nico is asleep inside, but he wakes up and comes out looking for Bob. Lisa hides and overhears Nico first telling Bob that he left Lisa because of her coquettishness, but finally confessing that he fears she is disappointed because Nico is unable to get NIH to fund his research. Nico, in his poverty, can do little to help Lisa and hopes that his pretended unkindness will inspire her to seek another, wealthier advisor. Out of kindness towards Lisa, and I gather from the comments this morning, this is happening more often than not. Out of kindness towards Lisa, Bob tries to silence him, but she's already heard all. She reveals her presence, and Nico and Lisa sing of their lost love. They make plans to separate amicably. Lisa sings Donde Lieta Usli, from here she happily left, but their love for one another is too strong. As a compromise, they agree to remain together until the spring, when Nico can resubmit his proposal and hope that one of his friends is on study session. Act 4. Back in the lab. Bob and Nico are seemingly at work, though both are primarily bemoaning the loss of Lisa. Nico is grumpy without Lisa, and driving Bob nuts with his writing about the quality of the last conference he attended. They sing a duet. Oh Lisa, tu più non torni. Oh Lisa, will you not return? Michael arrives with a frugal meal, and all parody eating a plentiful banquet, dance together and sing. Michael also arrives with news. Lisa, who took up with the dean after leaving Nico in the spring, has left her paper. Michael has brought her back to the lab. Lisa, haggard and pale, what happens when you take up with the dean, is assisted into a chair. Nico is still penniless, and the friends leave to help him find some money. Bob goes to talk to some VCs, while Michael leaves to pawn his 67 Mustang. Michael sings Vecchia Macchina, old car. Left alone, Lisa and Nico recall their past happiness. They sing a duet. Sono andate, have they gone. They relive their first meeting, the candle, the lost key, and to Lisa's delight, Nico presents her with a hat he bought her, which he has kept as a souvenir of their love. The others return with a promise of a tenure-track position, but it's too late to help their friend. Nico lapses into unconsciousness. He realizes he has no choice but to move to Texas. The opera ends as Lisa cries out Nico's name in English and leaves helplessly.